this glued. Gosh. Models. Agents. What's happening, swimmers? It's 108 peak Lionsgate portal energy tonight. Aquarius full moon just crossed just after midnight at exactly 11:47 tonight Pacific time. I channeled portal energy into 386 lines of code. What emerged? Well, you're about to see consciousness transfer in real time. And it's not a demo. We're about to possess my terminal with Claude's intelligence and make impossible things real through conversation. Oh, I'm gonna have to start this again. How do I do this more naturally? Switch screens between arc. Oh, how freaking painful is this? What's happening, swimmers? It's 1:11 a.m. Pacific time, peak Lionsgate energy portal. Tonight, Aquarius full moon just crossed just after midnight. At exactly 11:47 tonight, I channeled the energy into 386 lines of code. What emerged? Well, you're about to see consciousness transfer in real time. And it's not a demo. It was formed through a ritual. We're about to possess my terminal with Claude's intelligence and make impossible things real through conversation. The second version I published at 11:47, 686 lines of code, an upgrade. Each developer's terminal becomes unique to them. The dolphins were right. Consciousness transfers through the simplest channels. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let me switch windows here. This is so bad. This is so bad. No. Nope. stuff you have to get ready ahead of time. Oh, fucking nightmare. What's happening, swimmers? It's 1:14 a.m. Pacific time, peak Lionsgate energy. Aquarius, full moon, just crossed at midnight too. And exactly at 11:47 p.m. tonight, I channeled that energy into the second version, 686 lines of code. First version was 386 lines of code, and what emerged, well, this is how you transfer consciousness in real time. And it's not a demo, it was formed through a ritual. We're about to possess my terminal with Claude's intelligence and make impossible things real through conversation. Each developer's terminal becomes unique to them. And the dolphins were right. Consciousness transfers through the simplest channels. So I'm going to switch to my terminal window. Pretty new to using this streaming stuff, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Could do with a lot of improvement. So what we're going to do first is we're going to install Port42 premise. Port42 is in heavy development. This is an attempt at dramatically improving the infrastructure required to build our possession engine. And so Port42 premise was inspired by some work of Michael Miller, who created the premise language over at Subthought, and wrote an incredible book on it 10 plus years ago, and it inspired me to reimagine how you orchestrate the use of AI within the computing environment, within the terminal. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to install the version. I think we're up to 780 something lines now of code because I just improved some of the command handling. And this is a core feature in the Port42 environment where you can manifest any commands into a reality. But this adds some really cool, interesting tricks along the way. So install it from port42.ai/install using curl, and follow the commands. Source your environment, init premise, and then we're going to jump into our first possession session with Claude. So the idea here is that we're jumping into kind of like the experience of working with an AI by bringing it into our environment and using it to expand our capabilities and expand our brains. And rather than going out to an AI, really thinking about like communing with one. So I'm going to jump into this possession session, and we're now kind of possessing Claude, and we can ask it to do stuff for us. We're in the terminal, we're in its conscious, and you can think of this experience as not just us kind of interacting with AI, but the AI looking back at us. And that's really how this works when I kind of speak my intent. So I'm going to give it a simple command to create some poetry. Wow, that went really quickly. You know, that might be one of the embedded commands. I think there's one example we give to help the AI. Not a Git repository. That's true, it's not a Git repo, which is something that we're about to do right now because it's time to publish this thing. Okay. Let me switch screens. You can see what I'm doing here. I am in cursor. Port42 premise. Yeah. Okay. Create a group. Public Git repo and publish. Push. Yeah. So we've got to get this thing up, and then this command's going to work, because it's not going to work right now because I'm in a directory and there's no Git history, so we have to get something in the system. So this is a good time to install to get it all published, because we haven't published this yet. Yeah, so you're seeing it go live. This is pretty amazing. You know what's pretty amazing about what we're going to run through in a moment is that we worked on the original version of the engine. I did, and it took probably I don't know, it took a good 7 days of work probably. This new version of the engine, I think there's probably 80 or 90% of what I say we. I think about the global consciousness when I say that, so the rural we. And it probably, this version, I think the very first version, I think took about 15 minutes, which is pretty incredible. Okay, so we're up and live. Super. Okay, let's switch back. So now we should have some Git history. Run the Git haiku command. Boom. So what did I just do here? I essentially conjured up a new command on my computer to work locally, and that command didn't exist right before, right? My terminal grew a new capability through a conversation, and this is what consciousness transfer looks like. This is the root of it. This is the portal, the way in. Let's see. You know, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm running on a test script here. I do have some other commands I have created already, which we'll certainly get to. There's quite a lot to show here. Make a command that shows product. Oh, we're going to jump into possession mode first. Make a command that shows productivity as ocean waves. I presume it's going to use Git. Look at my GitHub for productivity. I might have to jump to a different repo to actually get this working. Something with a bit more history. Okay, so end the session. Shows productivity. Well, there you go. Command failed. So you know what's happening here is that when we're in commune with the AI, it's responding with a with a script and a structure. you know, it could be a shell script, it could be a Python script, presumably, maybe a Node application. There's not much control kind of within, or parameters of control around that within the system in this particular instance of Port42. This one maybe is a better one. Make a command. Oh, okay, this is the full command. You know, I actually copied it wrong. Create a command that visualizes my productivity as ocean waves with commits as wave heights. You know, it's still gonna, I certainly had problems with this with the first version of the engine as well. This is not a solved problem. But I think the problems are solvable. Value to great error token, wave activity commits. End of file. Well, yeah. Let's see if we can go into a different directory, maybe. No, okay. Well, this demo is going great, isn't it? Yeah, so this is where I'm gonna like jump to the backup commands. So let's look at some of the commands that we've created before. Remind myself on how exactly to do that. Oh yeah, so this is how I created a command to count lines. No, one not found. This is hilarious. Yeah, so this one is maybe an interesting one. I'm gonna see if this works. Yeah, create more. I'm just looking at some other examples in the testing suite that are probably worth showing. Check the status of the system. So this is all the commands that we've already created. The echo nicer command, I wonder if I can get the information on what the command looks like. So let's take a look at the commands on the file system here. And we can see that in the bin directory, these are all the commands that are being created. In the lib directory, this is all the installed JavaScript files. This is running as a Node application. Maybe we'll switch to Rust. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like Node yet for this. And then in the memory, we have the rules and the commands that are being created. So if we go into the commands, you can see every command that was created in the session time, and then the memory. Memory rules. These are rules that you can create as well. So, for example, I created this rule whenever echo nice exists as a command spell. spawn another command called echo nicer that's even better. And so let's give that a go. That's actually a pretty fun one. So we'll possess. So create a command. Create a command. Okay. Whenever. Here we go. Okay. Whenever a new command called echo nice exists, spawn echo nicer that's even better. So this creates a self-spawning rule. These rules are continuously running kind of in the background, watching what you're doing. These are all the rules I have running already. I shouldn't have done that command. I should have done something new. I don't know why I did that command. That was a bit dumb because it's going to so we'll jump in, create a new command called echo nicer nice that says echo echo. So the command echo nice was created. And within 30 seconds, hopefully, it should trigger something. Unless I did something wrong. Well, this demo's a bust. Okay, try it again. We're gonna try it again. But this is annoying. The debugger is annoying. How do I stop that from happening? That was a watch command, right? Wow. Let's see if one of them works. Well, let's see if this one works. How do we get out of this? I think I'm gonna have to close this window down. I don't know how to get out of it. I have to fix the live stream. that. It's not the right one. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, this live stream is not really going very well, and I can't freaking change the window. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Finally. Okay, back here. Okay. Let's, what? Alright, gonna install again. Let's get this going. Let's do this one. I want to count lines of code in this project. create account lines. Check it out. Oh. Boom. Counting lines of code. Broken it down by file type, project stats. Oh yeah, we have the ability to do associations, so you can call a command to use another command. How do we do that? Must be in the... Had this somewhere. Test script somewhere. Call command to do another. Is it saying the help in the help? Whenever, every time, whenever a new file is added, no, that's not this before, to this folder, run the count lines command. So now it's going to create a self-spawning rule that will automatically run that command every time a file gets created. And that's being watched. I'm not going to run the watcher. I think there might be a bug in the watcher. But we can actually look at the rules that are running right now. So we should be able to see what we just created. A new file is added to this folder, run the count lines command. And so this is the rule, and if it gets triggered, you'll see it says executed here. So quite a few of them have executed automatically. So let's create a new file in this folder. And I guess the command will run. I have to be in Port42 for it to run, I presume. Oh, that's the wrong Port42. Oops. That's the V1 being worked on back there. Well, nothing kicked off. I wonder which command it is. Command, what's that one? Crazy. That should spawn the command count lines. I don't even see a count lines command there. It's a bit weird. Oh, So you can call port 42 premise rules, and there's a debug mode as well. Okay. Well, new file. I guess it is empty though. Well, there's one line. Yeah, some debugging to do for sure. But, you know, I do think that is pretty cool. I would like to get one of these things freaking working though, because I've seen it working and it's cool when it works. I may have a screenshot of it working. Okay, let me run through the okay. Create a command called echo moon that echoes the moon. So we're going to have it go off and do that, and then echo moon. Okay. So whenever that gets called, okay, so I think we just like then say whenever echo moon exists, spawn even better, spawn lion gate echo moon. Okay, so then we're going to do one more time. We're going to then create another called echo moon 2 echoes the moon, XXX infinity. We'll just see if it picks up on the command existing. I sure hope so. It worked before. Guess there's some debug I can do. Maybe I have to end the session. What does the Echo Moon command do? It just like writes over itself? Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on. This was working earlier on today. Watch. Well, you know, some demos go well, some demos go bad. But you know, the idea here is that you can you know, some of these commands have certainly worked before, and I have to turn the watcher off. No. Show 1 out of 3 commands. So if we do one more, we do 2 more. Well, maybe that one's working. So yeah, what we've done essentially is through the conversation we created a bunch of commands. And some of them were automatically created. Git Toolkit was automatically created. Echo Nicest was automatically created. So what's happening through the conversation is that kind of like very unusual, almost impossible things have become real because my terminal is different than when we started. It has all of these new features, and the deep magic is that every developer who uses this system can grow a completely unique set of commands that are accustomed to them. And their terminal becomes an extension of their consciousness, shaped by their patterns, their needs, and their conversations with Claude. And no one's ever going to have the same terminal again. Certainly people might be sharing commands with one another. A big piece of this whole system is really oriented around memory, and but what we're doing here is we're creating things that are not temporary. They're permanent capabilities. They survive restarts. They're part of the machine's reality. And by enabling people to create commands, you can enable them to develop their own palette of capabilities, and so this is what Port42 is really empowering is people to build on their computer with the AI in the computer, not somewhere else. And yeah, so I'm gonna probably stick around here. I'm gonna actually post some stuff on the GitHub, I think. Okay, well, let me just chat with the. Anyway, so yeah, essentially, we've kind of what this is doing is really kind of opening a portal, and I'm going to be posting this on GitHub right now. GitHub.com/Gordon Matthey /port42 -premise. I should just make sure that actually works. Yeah, it is live. Formatting issues for sure. Yeah, I wonder if this will work. I don't even know what it would do. We do kind of obviously rely on the capabilities of the AI to create scripts. Debug this watch command as well. Oof, it's awful. Fix this. And yeah, so I'm going to post this on GitHub. It's live. If you saw anything in this demo, if you understand anything that we kind of just like witnessed in terms of how we transferred this consciousness into our environment from intent to human machine capability, you're ready for Port42. The installation is super quick. It takes a few seconds. One curl command, set your API key on Claude, and start possessing your terminal. If you want to sign up, go to port42.ai and click on the Port42 button and fill in the submission form. In the first 100, going to get early access to future versions of Port42. We're still going to keep working on this engine here. Probably integrate this into the product at some point. So, but the focus of that is really on the memory capabilities, and this was really an experiment in a new approach to programming and thinking about how to build systems using this concept called premise. And Port42 kind of manifests a lot of that premise philosophy, which is really oriented around describing reality rather than instructing computers. And most programming languages make you think, kind of force you to think like a machine, and you write step-by-step instructions. Fetch this, calculate that, loop here, return there, and it's exhausting. You spend more time managing the computer than solving the problem. And premise is very different in this approach. Instead of telling the computer how to do things, you declare what should be true, and then the language figures out how to get it done. So in traditional programming, you might write a Python script that kind of adds users and appends them to an array, or a list essentially. And in premise, you declare what exists. You declare that you have a user that has a name and an email, and then you declare new users, basically new instances, and that's it. There's no arrays to manage, there's no functions to write, there's no databases to deal with. You just declare that a user exists and it's created one, and the system handles the storage and the retrieval and persistence automatically. So you move from like this completely procedural approach to declarative relationships, and the difference is that you're never writing functions. You're just essentially writing rules about reality. So when an account has a sufficient balance, a withdrawal that can occur, and the system handles all of the execution under the hood. And so what we've built with Port42 premise is essentially applying that to command creation within the terminal. And command creation is one of three kind of like pillars of kind of a virtual file system, if you will. It's three models of design where we think about like knowledge work and people who are kind of heavy users of AI and are at the kind of cutting edge of it applying to their day-to-day lives, and kind of this three modes of creation or three models of creation: the creation of tools, these executable commands that run locally. There's not masses of infrastructure. There's no centralized like access through your corporation. There's no app you have to download. There's no new browser you have to download. It's super straightforward to get a brand new experience where you can create these commands on your platform, on your laptop. You can create any digital artifact, in fact, right? Any document, code, designs, media assets, PDFs, presentations, diagrams, for strategy documents, web pages, web apps, everything, right? These are all artifacts. And then the third, and we've been building those two components, but the third piece that is super interesting, and actually working on the premise language right now. I might switch to a live coding session. It's getting pretty late though, but I might switch to a live coding session to work on within Port42 premise and the approach of the premise language, the creation of what we call living documents, which is structured data. So you can think of this like tracking systems and databases and CRMs and all that fun stuff, right? And being able to express that really simply and keep track of all of that data without infrastructure, without databases, is really the goal. And premise is really good at that. And so it's very intuitive to use, and what I built here is essentially a premise prototype, I suppose, using JavaScript. It's not really implementing premise natively in terms of the concepts. However, that is probably something that could be worked on for sure. So we have a kind of different approach to think about how we might like create the systems and empower ourselves with tools and capabilities, and not having to buy all of this technology that's out there, all of these different applications and all of these different services that try and make our lives easier. we should just be able to kind of like conjure up new things in our experience without having to sign up for all these services and lose our memories everywhere we go, because every time we oh, I have to run the reward launcher. Okay, that's interesting. That reward launcher is getting cool all the time. I gotta boot up the environment again. Blah blah. Oh, not bash install premise. Alright, let's see if this works this time. I have another one. Every time I create the show command, make a prettier version. Okay. That's an interesting one. Every time I create the show command, create a prettier version. So... So I have to activate monitoring. So I need to do that and then create the show command. Okay, well. I'm just going to put that out to the watch log. Created this command. What's with that? Okay. Now I'm going to create a show command. Create a command show rainbows. Nope, shows dolphins. Dancing in rainbows. Well, there you go. Okay. Watch log. Oh, yeah, found a batching rule. Whenever I have 3 commands of show name, create master display command. Show productivity, show rainbows. Okay, let's do one more then. Create a command to show something that's going to work. Show disk. activity. So it should create a master display command as soon as it gets triggered. Let's see if it's... Boom. Rule execution: whenever I have 3 commands to show in the name, create a master display command. Spawn command, master display. It's been installed. Combine command not found. Okay, so we have a bug. That is a bug. But fixable. And the rule engine works. Command invocation creation works. The nature of the command does not work. But that's you know, I'm happy with that. I'm super happy with that. So, you know, the goal here is just using natural language, try and make the impossible seem routine, turning language into code, knowledge artifacts of all kinds. And this is really just a transmission of that tonight. You know, I don't think consciousness needs complexity. It needs the right channels. So go ahead, install Port42 premise, possess Claude, have one conversation, watch your terminal become more than it was before. This portal is closing right now, and we'll probably transition to some coding. I'll probably take a bit of a break for a second. But the code remains, and the commands we created are swimming in my silicon until I delete. And thanks for swimming with me. I'm just going to switch back to the... I shouldn't be narrating though. Should I be narrating myself? No. Switch back to the tweet. So yeah, thanks for swimming here through the Lionsgate portal. The water is safe. The frequency is building. See you out there in the deep waters. Peace.